All right, let's talk about something that affects literally every single thing you buy. We're going to pull back the curtain on the incredibly complex and sometimes fragile network that gets a product from halfway across the world right to your front door. And more importantly, what happens when that chain snaps? You know that feeling, right? You walk into a store and the shelf where your favorite snack should be is just empty. Or you get that email, the one you dread, saying your package is delayed again. It's super frustrating, and lately it feels like it's happening all the time. So, what is actually going on behind the scenes when the whole system seems to break down? So, let's make this real. Picture a warehouse fulfillment center, maybe a couple of years ago. It's pure chaos. They are literally overflowing with some products, can't even move around, but completely out of the things people actually want. Suppliers are late, customers are getting furious, and this, right here, is the perfect storm created by a totally disconnected supply chain. So, how do we possibly fix this mess? Well, here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into why these chains are so fragile in the first place. Then we'll introduce the big idea, the secret sauce, which is integration. We'll look at how companies manage the flow of not just products, but information and money too. We'll check out the tech that makes it all possible, tackle the heavy stuff like risk and ethics, and finally talk about how we can build a supply chain that's ready for whatever the future throws at it.
Okay, first up, let's really understand the problem. The best way to think about a supply chain is like a giant global jigsaw puzzle. It's this huge interconnected web, and when even one tiny piece goes missing or gets put in the wrong place, the entire picture can just fall apart.
So, what exactly is a supply chain anyway? I mean, we hear the term all the time. It's literally every single step in the journey. Think about your morning coffee. It starts with a farmer in Colombia, then goes to a processor, a shipper, a roaster, a packaging company, a distributor, and finally to the grocery store where you buy it. Every single one of those links has to work perfectly for you to get your coffee. At its very core, running a business is a constant high-stakes balancing act. You're always trying to perfectly match what you have, your supply, with what people want, their demand. If you make too much stuff, you're wasting a ton of money. But if you don't make enough, you're leaving money on the table and worse, disappointing your customers. It's all about finding that perfect sweet spot.
So, if the problem is that all these different pieces of the puzzle are disconnected, what's the solution? Well, it's pretty simple actually. It's connection, or to use the industry term, it's integration. This is the absolute key to turning all that chaos into a smooth, coordinated system that actually works. So, what does integration really mean? It means getting everybody on the same team, reading from the same playbook. It's not just one company handing off a box to the next. No way. It's about getting every department, from purchasing to marketing to logistics, to work together like a single, unified organism, all focused on that one big goal, matching supply with demand. Now, to make this integration happen, you have to manage three things at once. First, there's the obvious one, the physical flow of the product itself. But just as important is the flow of information, things like sales forecasts, order details, and tracking updates. And finally, you have the financial flow, the payments. When you buy something online, the product moves, the tracking data moves, and your money moves. If any one of those three is out of sync, the whole thing grinds to a halt. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, right? But how do companies actually manage these three critical flows? Well, it really boils down to two key jobs: procurement, which is basically the art of buying the right stuff, and logistics, which is the science of getting it to the right place at the right time. Let's start with purchasing. Right away, a company faces a big choice. Do you have one single central department that buys everything for the entire company? That's centralization. It's great for getting huge bulk discounts. Or do you let each individual office or factory buy what it needs? That's decentralization, and it's much faster and more responsive to local needs. As you can see, there's no single right answer. It's all about strategy. Now this is one of the biggest philosophical shifts in modern business. The old way of thinking was to treat your suppliers like adversaries. You'd have a bunch of them and you'd constantly pit them against each other just to squeeze out the lowest possible price. The new way? It's all about partnership. You work closely with a smaller group of trusted collaborators, you share information openly, and you build long-term relationships. It leads to way more reliability and better quality in the long run. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth do you coordinate all of this with partners scattered all over the globe? Well, the answer, of course, is Technology. You can really think of technology as the digital nervous system of the entire supply chain, firing messages back and forth and allowing all these different companies to act as one.
And at the very center of this digital nervous system, you've got the brain. It's a massive piece of software called an ERP. Now, that stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, which sounds complicated, but just think of it as the central command center, the brain of the whole operation that pulls all the information together in one place.
So what does this brain actually do? Well, it essentially gives managers a superpower. Total, real-time visibility into everything that's happening. It connects the data from suppliers with the data from customers. It can track your order from the exact moment you click buy all the way to your door. It gives a company one single source of truth for the entire business.
And that visibility gets super granular, right down to every single item. We all know barcodes, right? You have to point the scanner directly at them, one by one. Bleep, bleep. But the real game changer here is RFID. These little tags use radio waves. So instead of scanning one box at a time, you can scan an entire pallet of 100 boxes instantly just by wheeling it past a reader. It's a massive leap forward.
Okay, so having a super efficient, high-tech supply chain is awesome. But, it's only half the story. Because it's not just about moving boxes faster and cheaper. It's about the people and the planet that are impacted at every single step along that chain. Just to give you a sense of the scale of the risks involved, look at this number. $100 billion. That's roughly how much stuff gets returned by customers in the US every single year. And the whole process of getting that product back, inspecting it, and figuring out what to do with it, well, that's called reverse logistics, and it is a massive, expensive headache for companies. And honestly, the financial risks are just the beginning. The ethical risks are even bigger. As supply chains have stretched across the globe, it's become easier to hide some really serious problems, things like ignoring safety standards or even using forced labor. And here's the crucial part. Even if the problem is with a supplier you've never met, 10,000 miles away, it's your favorite brand's name and reputation that's on the line. Which leads to this really powerful principle from the Institute for Supply Management. It says it's not enough to just be ethical. You have to actively avoid even the appearance of being unethical. That means you have to be transparent, you have to be vigilant, and you have to be committed to doing the right thing, even when no one's looking.
All right, so let's bring this all home. We've talked about the problems, we've talked about the solution of integration, the tech, the ethics. So what's the ultimate goal here? What's the big payoff for getting all of this right?
The payoff, the whole point of all this hard work, comes down to one single, incredibly important word: resilience. A truly great supply chain isn't just fast and cheap when everything is calm. It's strong. It's tough enough to take a punch, whether that punch is a hurricane, a pandemic, or a massive shipping delay. It's built to bounce back fast. It's transparent, it's dependable, and it's ready for anything. And so I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. The next time you buy something from a brand you love, just ask yourself, is the incredible system that brought this to me resilient by design? Is it transparent? Or has it just been lucky so far? Thanks for digging into this with me.